Hello, and welcome to the Non Inkables podcast. This is episode number 18, I think. Now, I did record this whole thing earlier today. I know it's already been delayed, but then it had no sound. So, alas, here we are again. We didn't do a ton of stuff last week in terms of tournaments, but we did have a team practice on Wednesday, which I will talk about. And I also released several videos. So obviously the podcast video per usual on Monday of last week. Sorry, this one is so late. And then also a video about the different Disney eras. So basically starting with like Snow White and then moving on through the Golden Era, the Silver Era, the Bronze Era, the Wartime Era, the Renaissance Era, and what we're currently in the Revival Era. And then I think all of us had a little bit of if you're chronically online like me, we all had a little freak out about the possible Hiram Flaversham errata because some people were looking at the Lorcana app, and in the app it said that for Hiram's effect that you would draw one card instead of the usual two. And so then we all thought maybe this was like a errata that they hadn't quite released yet. And the official Lorcana Twitter did, I guess X technically, did say that that was a mistake and that they're fixing it on the back end and there is no errata. So for now, at least, no errata on Hiram. I also posted a video about basically of my unboxing of the first chapter case that I got from Amazon at MSRP. I did get 2 Enchanteds, so check out that video. It's about like a little over an hour long, so about like 20 minutes per box. And I did have a comment asking like, oh, how can you be so calm when you open Enchanteds? And I think really I was just very spoiled. When we first started playing the game, which was set 2, at some point I'd gotten my hands on some set 1 blister packs, I think from either like Hot Topic or Barnes & Noble, and I opened an Enchanted Elsa. So ever since then, every Enchanted I've opened has been kind of a letdown in comparison, I suppose. And I also just open a ton of cards. I don't record the majority of the cards I open, I would say, even though like there's 2 shorts on the channel daily of card openings, and also I just do unboxing videos as a standalone. Still, I open a lot of cards that I don't post. Like today, I opened an entire case of Inklands that I'd found for like less than $100 a box. It was very boring. There was no Enchanteds, and so I'm kind of glad I didn't even go through the effort of recording it. But also, I think because our rate is normally 2 Enchanteds per box, so we've gotten a lot of Enchanteds. And then when they are repeats that we already have, I guess it's less exciting to me. So I guess because I'm jaded, because I've both opened now, I've opened an Enchanted Elsa from a blister pack and also from a booster box, like just some random one I bought. So everything else is kind of like, okay. So those are the videos that came out on the channel last week. And last week we didn't go any tournaments. We were busy doing like real life stuff. Brian went to a bachelor party over the weekend, and I did a bunch of stuff with our daughter, including yesterday getting sunburned. We took her to the pool. She loved it. I was very focused on putting sunscreen on her, not on myself, and so I got sunburned. We also, over the weekend, our water pipe broke. So Brian was supposed to go to his bachelor party, woke up in the morning, went to shower, there's no water, and we're like, what the heck? And I was like, maybe, there's like a lot of teens in our area who like to do pranks. Maybe one of them turned off our water. He goes outside and like, it's just flooded. There's like mulch everywhere and just water gushing out of the side of our house. And our garage is like a little bit flooded, not a lot though. And so we called the water people to turn it off, and they're like, oh, you gotta get a plumber. And I'm like, okay, get a plumber. And the plumber was like, yeah, you have PVC piping. And so this happens not infrequently. And so he replaced all of our pipes with copper pipes. Both of us were like, we lived in like got a house in a new development and had an inspection and all that stuff to try to avoid house issues. But yeah, it's all fixed and the HOA should pay for it. So I think we're all good on that front, although it did make for a very eventful Saturday. Wednesday, we had our team practice. So Tyler, Gary, me, Brian together. I started the practice wanting to play yellow-green. I think I was enamored with the novelty of playing two colors I normally don't play. So last set I played red, purple. And this set, I was like, oh, I want to try something new. And red, I think yellow-green had a lot of cool combos that I hadn't experienced before. And that I loved it because of that. So I liked the you key to everybody and then you sing Under the Sea, right? I don't remember what I did, but I just remember like there were so many cool combos I could do that were unexpected that made it really fun. But I didn't like the part about playing yellow-green where you feel like you are behind the whole time. Because when you play yellow-green, essentially like you're trying to discard their cards and then also get control of the board. And then you quest. And so like they're just questing away and it's just like, I'm at 0 lore, I'm at lore. And then everything in yellow-green doesn't quest for very much. So when you are able to quest, it's like a slow clawback. So I didn't really like that. I did try out a red blue deck. I think it's Moyen's deck that has no action, so it's just items and characters. And I hated it. I think partly because I bricked, but I just didn't like that feeling. And then I tried a more traditional red blue deck by Sailor, or as I was calling it in my head, Sephorler, because it's spelled like SI4, the number 4, LER. And so, because I think the 4 looks like a sail, but in my head it was Sephorler or Sliver or just not Sailor. I did try one of his decks. So he has 2 decks, one called like Aggro Meta and one called Control Meta. And so I tried the Aggro Meta one. No, I think actually I tried like a traditional red-blue and I liked it. And then I found the team sent me the Aggro Meta one. So I've been working on using that one for the past week. I also did take a look at the Control Meta one. And at first I was like, oh, this is so exciting. It has my favorite card, Great Stone Dragon, which is a card I wanted to work last set and never really found a deck where it worked out. And so I was like, oh, maybe I'll like this one. And then I looked at the rest of the deck and I was like, oh, I don't think this is actually really my style. There's like a lot of one-ofs and I think I got really used to the consistency of playing red purple with 4 ofs of everything, and it has like a lot of like 2 ofs and 1 of, and I was just like, I don't know. And then it has like that new Mufasa, and I'm really not sure what to do with that. So I've been using the Aggro Meta one, and I will link both decks down below. They're both public, so yeah. So I've been doing the red-blue one, and I don't know if I've been playing it correctly because I've played a lot of games against Brian and him on like his purple steel, sometimes on amber steel, all these different decks. And before today, there was never one time where I won with Lucky Dime. Today was the first time I ever drew my Lucky Dime at the right time and actually used it. And I feel like you're supposed to win by doing like Tamatoa Lucky Dime, because whenever I play against that deck, that is how they win. And yet that never happened to me. So, except for today, I did it twice. And then I also had a game today where I just bricked super hard. I drew 3 big Sisus in my hand, 8 cost, uninkable. And so now I'm kind of like, I don't know if I want to play this deck. I'm not sure. The big thing that happened this weekend was that, okay, so that was like practice on Wednesday. Yeah. And I am unfortunately still undecided about what I want to play. I thought I was going to play red-blue and I liked it until basically today. And then I had one experience where I bricked and I was like, I don't like this. I don't want a deck where I lose because I have bad luck. Because I bricked and I couldn't draw any cards because I didn't see any here. And Brian's like, well, the only deck that's really consistent is like red purple. And I was like, yeah, but it's not very good right now. So I don't know what I'm playing still. I don't know. I did also today try to make a deck that was ruby green, red green, which I always keep trying to go back to with like Aladdin and lose 1 lore, gain 1 lore, and that kind of gain lore manipulation-y stuff with like Lyle and Shirkan. But it sucked. I didn't even try it out. I just looked at it and I was like, this isn't gonna work. Yeah. And I learned a new term, which I will include in my 3rd video on new terms, which I will make eventually, called net decking, which is where you find a deck on the net aka the internet, and then you just use that and maybe tweak it a little. I think I just said tweak it a little, versus like home brewing where you just make your deck at home. So I don't know. The big tournament that happened this weekend was Toronto, and we were looking at the results. And one of the top 16 finishers is one of our friends, Judy. And I had talked to at Gen Con, and she was at Gen Con still like very unsure what deck she was going to play because she was playing Emerald Steel for all of set 4. And because Bucky was getting errata, she was like, I don't know what to play. And she ended up getting top 16 with Amber Emerald, so yellow-green, which is very exciting. And it was, I think she's from Toronto, so hometown hero, but also her husband also plays, and he's very good. I played him for set championships at King Kong. He beat me. He was playing blue steel, I think, but he wasn't able to get a competitor ticket, and she did. So I thought that was kind of cool. Girl power, top 16, so that's cool. And then I was also looking through they had constructed side tournaments on Sunday, which I think the people who didn't make it to day 2 played in. And at the side tournament, so for the main tournament, you could only play set 4 with the Bucky errata, but the side tournaments you could play up to set 5. So I feel like this is the biggest competition we've had so far where we can see the new meta for set 5. So there was a 8 a.m. constructed and a 9 a.m. constructed. The 8 a.m. constructed had 170 players. It was won by Blurple, which is very exciting to me. I love Blurple. I just think it's always quite weak. But it was won by Blurple. I don't know if I will try I'll probably text the deck out on like Inktable just to see. But it does have a lot of 2-ofs, which I'm not a fan of. I like my consistency, but I'll test it out. And then second place was Ed. So the guy who had won Fort Worth, he normally plays red purple, but he played a green steel deck with Clarabelle and won second place. And his deck is classic, I would say classic Ed deck where everything is a 4-of. So I am going to try that deck out because, I love the consistency and we have all the cards, so might as well try it out. It has like the Robin Hood shift line. It's got the Mother Gothel shift line. It's got a Clarabelle shift line. It's got Morph. It's got Pete, who I think is a hilarious card because Brian plays it against me and I get so frustrated because, in his deck it's worse because he plays purple steel. So he'll play Pete and then like bounce it next turn and play it again. So you can never play her actions, which is very frustrating. And then third place was a Mufasa deck. So that's kind of cool. And then some Steel Song, some Ruby Amethyst, aggro-y, green, purple, yellow, purple. So that was for the 8 a.m. event. And then the 9 a.m. event had 142 people. And it doesn't say who won. So I think you have to upload your own deck to Inkdex and like report it as data. But second place was red purple. And the red purple list, I think was like, I think the list that's been floating around. So like the 1-3 and then you play the 1-3 like Minnie Mouse Olaf, although they weren't running Teeth, which I thought was interesting. Because usually when you run that, you want to run Teeth, but I guess that would be good into hyper aggro. You could attack many times for your character's banish. It played the Rafiki. It played like Flynn Rider, the Snake, the Fox, Crab, Sisu, Goat, Rabbit, that whole Maui Medusa, big Sisu. But it did play one copy of Pinocchio Talkative Puppet, which is different. And then it played the usual like Friends, Be Prepared, Queen's Castle. Yeah, so I think for us, like when we went to Fort Worth on day 2, we were all about like playing in sealed and in draft and stuff to try to get tickets. But I think we will probably, if we don't make it to day 2, we will play in the constructed because it's a good opportunity to test. Because when you go to Seattle, which we did get tickets for, so we're going to best, the whole team got tickets for Vegas and Seattle. Go us. We know how to use computers really well and have good luck, I guess. We will be going to Vegas and Seattle. So I think if we don't make it to day 2, we're probably going to just play in the constructed and use it as like practice for going to Seattle, because it'll still be set 5 in Seattle. So yeah, that is kind of the plan. This upcoming week, we are going to have another team practice on Wednesday, and then most likely we're going to go play in a tournament at Victory Point on Thursday, and then our usual tournament at DBY on Friday, just to kind of test decks and stuff. So kind of 3 days of intensive testing. And what else? The videos that'll come out this week, I'm going to try to do quite a few videos of different types, because I know my audience is varied tastes, I would say. So for the competitive, trying to get better at playing Lorcana people, I am going to be uploading a video called To Quest or Not to Quest. And it's basically answering that question, to quest or not to quest. And it was maybe one of the first concepts that I was introduced to, basically by I feel like every person on our team has either sent me an article about it or talked to me about it. And it kind of started off my faster, I wanted to say exponential, but not really. But like it improved my Lorcana playing by a lot very quickly. Just figuring out when to quest. I will also be posting a video about Tangled for my Disney fan audience, because Gary, who is on our team, had never seen Tangled, and he was confused about the whole Mother Gothel Rapunzel thing. And he was like, I don't understand, like, if it's her mom. I was like, oh, it's actually not her mom. And he was like, what? So yeah, I basically explained to him the whole plot, and then I was like, oh, I should just make this a video since I've already basically explained it. I can just do it with the cards and it'll be great. So I'm going to be coming out with that, and then also a Shimmering Skies case unboxing. I've already forgotten. I think we got 1 enchanted from that case and some other really good cards. And so I just have to edit that, and that will be up on the channel sometime this week. And so that is the plan for this week. Basically, I got to figure out what deck to play, guys, because the best way to suck is to not decide and then not practice on one deck, because you can't decide. And I'm definitely not a level of player where I can pick up any deck and just pilot it perfectly. So I definitely need to decide on a deck. I just feel very indecisive. And like last week, the team was like, oh, well, what's your playing style? And I was like, winning? Can that be my playing style? I will play whatever deck will let me win. But then I was thinking about it and I was like, no, that's not true. I liked playing green steel set 3. I think because I liked questing aggressively and also discarding my opponent's hand. I like playing red purple because there's a lot of interactions with the opponents. I don't think that I really like playing solitaire as much, which I feel like the ramp decks kind of are. Although every time I see someone do something cool with a ramp deck, I'm like, oh, I want to play a ramp deck. And initially I was a little hesitant because I didn't think I would be able to, one, keep my ink neat enough, and also like keep track of if I've inked for turn or if I've inked for quill, like all that I think is a lot of management that you have to practice in real life. And when we were still able to play a lot of stuff on Pixelborn, like it's so easy to do on Pixelborn, but once you're playing with like webcam or in real life, it's like a lot harder. And so last set, I was a little worried that I couldn't manage that. Also, the first time I played Red Blue, played Ed, the winner of Fort Worth, and got smoked. And I mean, it was like, I don't want to play this deck anymore. So yeah, I'm undecided. I don't know what I want to play. I don't know. We'll see. I guess I just have to test more. So yeah, that's where I am. I'm stuck in a conundrum. Don't know what to play. But hopefully I'll figure something out. Anyways, that's it for me. As always, keep shuffling. Hopefully you don't end up with a whole handful of non-inkables. And sorry, this podcast came out so late. I had real life stuff and also technical difficulties. And that's it for me. Okay, bye.